Hey, 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 we're live. Happy Sunday, everybody. Hey,
Happy Sunday!
how are you guys doing?
Good. I'm excited to get this brunch party on.
Hey, hey. So I'm reporting live from my kitchen here in LA. Where are you guys at?
I'm recording from Brooklyn, New York.
We're up here in Seattle, Washington.
Awesome. Thank you guys all so much for being down to journey on this grand experiment. And thanks to everybody who's tuning in right now. Make sure to hit the chat, whether you're on Twitch or on YouTube Live, and say hello and let us know where you are dialing in from. So basically, we're gonna get it started with a little live music, and then we're gonna focus on some bomb eats. Still getting everything situated. But so basically, we wanted to get together and create a virtual space in the absence of being able to come together IRL. But the beauty of that, even though we really miss coming together as community, is that we can come together virtually from no matter where we are. So I'm really excited to have Shara and Gio from Seattle, Sarah from New York, and myself here in LA, so that even though we're in three disparate places, we can be in the same spot. We got folks from LA, we got folks from Beacon Hill, Seattle, we got Whitney from Los Feliz. Thanks for the kitchen. But yeah, please hit the chat, let us know where you're coming in from. I started the Hollis Does Brunch concept to really think about the ways in which I think for me, growing up in my mom's restaurant, food was the first art form that I really understood within my household. And as I grew up, I know that the way in which I grew up in a restaurant really informed my artistic approach in the way that I consider what art is supposed to do and what music's supposed to do, which is to gather people, to bring people together over something common, something delicious, something nourishing. And so as I started to think about how I wanted to release my album, first and foremost, I just wanted people and my friends to hear my music, and just as a courtesy and as hopefully a draw, I would make them brunch. And what I realized is during those little listening sessions where I was workshopping my music, very simply like the way I'm going to play it today, is that people really loved that confluence of culinary arts. Well, not that I was creating something like deeply artistic, but the idea of like food and music coming together to provide something that brought us life. So that's the idea for brunch, and why Hollis Does Brunch was born. We had our first one in Seattle with Hood Famous Bakeshop. It was a really beautiful event and brought together, it was very multi-generational. We had toddlers, we had adults of all stripes in the room. We were drinking mimosas, we were eating delicious Filipino breakfast from Hood Famous, and then we had kind of a acoustic live performance. It felt like a throwback open mic vibe, and it just felt really, really special. And now, unfortunately, that is not the case, but it is so important that we're all staying inside. Oh, cool. We have people from Columbia City, Seattle. We have a Portland. We have Queen Anne. We have DC and San Jose. Wow, we got a lot of people up in here. This is awesome. Cool. So without much further ado, I'm just going to perform a couple songs off of my Half-Life EP that I released in February. And then we'll get back to brunch and we'll see what Sarah and Gio and Shara are cooking up in the kitchen. But this is the first song on the EP and it's called Sedative. So it seems you've come around to me. Must be nice to have the option, 'cause it seems I'd rather stuck with me until I'm in a coffin, until I'm in a coffin, until I'm in a coffin, yeah. Seems I'd rather stuck with me. It's unsettling, but settling. Take it all, swallow it like medicine, 'cause this life is gonna kill you after all. Well, I'll do anything to forget all my blatant limitations. Even when the truth is screaming out, I'm rolling out the window, just
swallow it like medicine, 'cause this life is gonna kill you. After all, yeah. And there's no sedative strong enough to numb all that you're running from. No, this life is gonna kill you. After all, after all, after all, after all. And there's no sedative strong enough to numb all that you're running from. No, this life is gonna kill you. After all, after.
to my peanut gallery. So I'm just gonna do one more. Ooh, let me take the verb off. I'm gonna do one more song. As if you know my music, you know that I've been entitling it "Sad Girl Jams" or "Existential Jams" because that's been my forever mood. And now it unfortunately feels apter than ever. So I hope that these songs, even though they're kind of on the sadder side of things, provide some solace at this time.
I feel paralyzed by my phone these days. Feels like all I can do is scroll. Oh, so terrified of the news these days. I get rigid and hopeless and numb. When the ticker tape strips away the little that we cling to, our hands are raised and fists are made, 'cause only we can save us. I try to do my best, but it never feels like quite enough. I push all my weight against it, but it never feels profound. The boulder always rolls back down, just an inch off the top of what's crushing me. Small steps to the edge of the world. I'm armored up against it, fighting back with every breath. It barely seems to make a dent, just an inch off the top of what's crushing me. Small steps to the edge of the world, the edge of the world. Out, 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 the edge of the world. Out, out, out. We're so sterilized, hyperanalyzed, and it's by design. Yeah, it keeps us pacified, exhausted to the point that we feel like giving up. So distractible, so we don't know the lives that they're erasing. It's genocide. I close my eyes and light my medication. I'm choking on the smoke, but it's all I got to soothe me now. I push all my weight against it, but it never feels profound. The boulder always rolls back down, just an inch off the top of what's crushing me. Small steps to the edge of the world. I'm armored up against it, fighting back with every breath. It barely seems to make a dent, just an inch off the top of what's crushing me. Small steps to the edge of the world, the edge of the world. Out, 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 the edge of the world. Out, 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 out. I feel paralyzed by my phone these days. Feels like all I can do is scroll. Oh, so terrified of the news these days. I get rigid and hopeless and numb.
Thanks, you guys. Right, we're back on. How's everybody feeling? How's everybody doing? It's so fun to perform, and usually you perform, and I'm usually like kind of closing my eyes and avoiding looking at people, but then I'll like look at some people just to check in. But when you're performing live in front of a computer screen, I'm just like kind of glancing at the chat. So I saw like, Whitney's comment like holds up a lighter while I was playing.
Yeah, that was good. Shout out to Whitney.
I can see it. I appreciate people clapping and doing the thing. It's so wonderful.
Oh, Hollis, you look very quarantine chic, says Dressage.
Love it. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. So I would love to just open this up now. It's so wonderful to have both of you or all three of you guys here. And we're all in our kitchens kicking it. So let's start this off with a little introduction. You just heard music from me. I'm Hollis, from the Bay Area, lived in Seattle and rep Seattle, and now I live down here in Los Angeles, and I've been sheltering in place here in East Hollywood. Let's see who wants to kick it off. Gio and Shara, why don't you hit us with a little introduction to who you guys are, where you're at, and then let's have an icebreaker question in addition to the introduction about who you guys are and what Hood Famous Bakeshop is, and maybe like a comfort food that's been getting you through sheltering in place.
That's good.
Yeah, well, I'm Gio, aka Prometheus Brown.
I'm Shara, aka Shara.
And we are the owners and founders of Hood Famous Bakeshop. Well, first, the Food and Chip pop-up, and then the offshoot, Hood Famous Bakeshop. That first pop-up turned brick and mortar with our flagship shop in Ballard. And then we opened up Hood Famous Cafe and Bar, our first sit-down joint in Chinatown International District last March. Celebrated our 1 year in social distancing isolation last weekend on March 22nd of our grand opening there. And we did the Hollis of the Brunch right before the apocalypse started. So now we're here, back where we started, in the kitchen. Oh, and everyone else is muted, so we got to keep talking, otherwise there'll be awkward silence.
No, it's all good. I got you. I was going to ask you what you guys have been eating comfort food wise to get you through sheltering in place.
Oh gosh.
Comfort food or comfort drink?
Let's go with both.
Oh man, to be honest, here.
Oh no.
I'm gonna be real. I'm gonna be real. Red Vines. And it's like large cash and carry size. I'm gonna be straight up, but also pho. That's been very, very comforting. Pho bok.
We just had that yesterday.
So maybe could you guys give us a little like lay of the land, like how are things feeling in Seattle right now? Obviously that was like it was kind of the first place where COVID-19 emerged. And I know that when we were doing the first Hollis Does Brunch earlier this month, it was feeling like very just uncertain. It was hard to know how intense it was going to happen. And so how are things feeling in Seattle now, like towards the end of March?
Heavy. I just, heavy and hopeful, I would say at the same time. I think throughout all this, you're seeing a lot of folks come together and just fight to uplift each other, fight for those that, are less fortunate, fight for themselves and their own survival. And I actually just right before, like the last 2 hours, have been on a conference call with this group of amazing folks, Seattle Restaurants United, that literally in days got 300 restaurants together to form a coalition to basically have our voices heard. We were one of the first industries to be shut down in terms of dining room, and it just spread wildfire in terms of like folks that had to be laid off, and that's just a trickle effect. And we've got a whole supply chain of farmers and vendors. Like it it isn't just within like a dining room, right? That's impacted. And so folks are definitely feeling it, but it's like I said, you know, heavy and hopeful at the same time. There's a lot of folks wanting to have our voices heard and like just basically just fight to bail out your regular working folk, not Wall Street.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get into that in a bit because I know that you guys have been tracking both the federal bill and very closely, as well as you mentioned, share the local initiatives. So we'll definitely get into that in a little bit. But let's turn it over to Miss Sarah, reporting live from Bushwick, Brooklyn. I'm going to spotlight you, girl. So let us know who you are, what's up, and please tell us about your incredible coffee that I'm about to take a sip of right now.
Thanks, Hollis. Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah Nguyen. I'm the founder of Nguyen Coffee Supply. We are an importing and roasting company focusing exclusively on Vietnamese coffee beans. So we roast right here in Brooklyn, New York. Prior to starting Nguyen Coffee Supply, I had a small, fast casual Vietnamese restaurant in Brooklyn. So I've been a part of the food and beverage scene in New York City since 2014. And so, we've really, been feeling the pain of everything that Shara just described. A lot of my close friends in my community here are all in food and beverage, small businesses, and it's just been so gut-wrenching, just trying to respond, but really just trying to figure out what the right thing to do is during this time. Sometimes it feels like we're at a conflict when we're trying to think about how to survive as a business, but then also how to protect our community. Sometimes some of those decisions feel at odds with each other. So it's been, difficult, but back to the comfort food. Oh my gosh, we've been making a lot of, Hollis, this, one of my favorite Cambodian soups is Slamat Chukrung, which I've been making a lot because my partner Eric's his mom made us a really big batch of krung. If you don't know what krung is, Google it. It's Kreung. It's a Cambodian paste that's really hard, really labor intensive to make. But his mom makes a big batch and mails it to us, and that becomes the base of the soup. So we've been making a lot of that Cambodian soup, Salamat Chukrung. Very comforting. It reminds us both of home. My babysitter growing up was Cambodian, so I ate that a lot growing up. So that's been my comfort food. Mm-hmm. Oh, you're still on mute.
We're working the kinks out. I wanted to say, I am a huge fan.
It's so sweet. You know what? I actually was like, oh, I don't even have a bag of coffee in my own apartment.
I have it. Mine.
Thanks, Boo. Good looking out. I have a mug.
And everybody should go. Yeah, we got the.
You're so sweet. I was like, I don't even have a bag to show people.
She has a whole line of merchandise that you can take part in and check out. But this coffee has been kicking my ass, dude. It's called Grit. I don't know if you can see the name of it. Oh yeah, here we go. Grit.
Oh.
Its tasting notes are scotch, grapefruit zest, and bitter melon. It's a newer line.
It's our strongest coffee.
Coffeesupply.com. Check it out. Get it sent to you. We're all missing going out regularly to our favorite espresso spots because so many have closed down. So it's a way to kind of treat yourself a bit while being at the crib and being economical. Highly recommended. Okay, y'all. So it's time to share what we've been cooking up in the kitchen. And I guess I'll start a little bit because I'm actually going to finish my dish while we're all talking. So I wanted to show my sweet potato hack.
Fancy.
Look, I'm not a chef. I'm just somebody who likes to eat good food, and I love sweet potatoes, and I usually roast them because roasting sweet potatoes is so easy and it's just so delicious. But I found a recipe where you actually cook it in the cast iron and then you just put a lid on it to soften them. So I basically just sauteed them, put a lid on them, soften them up, and then now I'm going to make little wells in it and crack an egg in it and then cook the egg in the stuff. Oh. There's a fly. And then it'll kind of just be this hashy deliciousness. So I'm going to start doing that now.
That looks beautiful. I love the colors.
You know, it's all about colors. It's all about just being like, how can I make this look interesting by adding 4 different things that are kind of colored from each other to make something happen.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let's go to Seattle. Gio, Cher, what are you guys cooking up in the kitchen?
Well, we had some leftover broth from pho, and there's this really very, very simple dish. You want to explain, Gio?
Oh
Maybe
yeah,
just
this is
steam it?
basically it's geranjim. It's a Korean steamed egg, which in its traditional form is just broth, right? So it's broth and eggs beaten into this liquid, and then we took got our steamer here. Let's put it in the ramekin. Ooh. Hold up. Okay.
You're live.
It's hot. It's hella hot. But and we steamed it. Yeah, this is what it looked like right here.
Woo!
Wait.
Oh, that's hard
You
to
can't
see.
really. Yeah. Hold up. It is.
Wow.
It's silky.
So it's like the silkiest egg custard.
And then we just put some cilantro. Got some chives from the garden. Fresh out the garden. What else am I missing here?
You can put shallots in it for some extra crunch. That's really yummy
Yeah, let's do
too.
that. Let's put some. Let's crack some
Some black pepper.
peppercorn on there. What else?
I love it 'cause
now
it's-
we're improvising. There we go. Fried shallots over here. And lastly, we got this from the Philippines right here. You also make your own. Some crunchy garlic and oil. And chili oil. A little bit of that there.
Ooh.
And I actually haven't tried it yet. You want to try it?
Okay.
Look at that. Look at that.
Wow. That
You have to
looks
have the wiggle.
bomb.
That's good.
It wiggles. And
Okay.
there we go.
So good. I love it because it's like literally I don't know about you guys, but when we've been, you do takeout pho. I always have extra broth left. And so you can just save it and do this.
Hmm. Good idea.
That's it. I mean, we got some garlic fried rice. Got to all the time. That'll be for the kids later.
That is such a genius idea to repurpose
The broth.
broth into something for the next day, because you're right. Like anytime I always have leftover pho, and I've gotten better now. I know not to package the noodles and the broth in with the fridge.
Yeah.
Stay.
Don't do that. Yeah.
Never.
Separate. And you can do this with anything. Like you can do this with sinigang broth, right? So like the Filipino sour soup, you can do it with that. Just kind of any leftover broth you have.
Wait, Shara, do you use the egg yolk or just the egg white to make the steamed egg?
The whole egg.
Oh, the whole egg. Oh, wow.
The ratio is pretty much two eggs to 1 cup of broth.
Cool.
Yes,
I didn't try
sir.
that.
Yeah, I think so.
Awesome.
Oh no, I eyeballed it.
No.
Yeah.
There's been a question from the chat. People want to know, because we're in the kitchen. Somebody, Alex Aheto, said, trying to get a tour of the Gio Shara kitchen. Secret seasonings, knife game. Can you lay us with a little, what's popping in your kitchen? What's the game that you can spit right now?
Hey,
You gotta have one of these. If you don't have one of these, this is the sturdiest knife. The Misono UX10. Dopest knife ever. But for photo shoots and shit, I do this one. I don't use it as much though. Another Japanese style chef knife. I don't know.
wait.
This is it. This is nothing special. I mean, actually, let's talk about this kitchen setup right here. Yeah, this is not like your normal household kitchen. This is like commercial grade equipment.
Wow.
Put in auntie and uncle Jerry and Judy Sudakawa. Shout out to the fam right there. They built this house. Like They hella built it. They got some,
We're like Bainbridge wood.
yeah.
Wow.
They got got wood from a co-op um in Bainbridge and like hella built it.
Is an island off of the in the Puget Sound, off like very close to Seattle.
Yes.
Short ferry ride away.
Yeah. And
That's incredible. That's dope.
yeah.
Awesome. All right, girl, you're up. Beach
All right. So I am keeping it pretty simple with some avocado toast this morning. Can you see that? Okay. I like making avocado toast just because sometimes it's like one of the easiest ways for me to get all of my nutrients in. And this recipe is one that I perfected. Okay, so you have avocado toast and then squeeze a lemon. Here, let me do this. All right, so then I squeeze lemon on top. It's a nice bright, a nice kick of brightness in the morning. And then I crack sea salt on top pretty generously, some black pepper, and then some garlic powder. Oopsies. A little bit of red chili flakes. And then I love putting like thinly sliced shallots on my avocado toast. I think it gives it like a nice bit of spice, or raw red onions. And then I top it off with some tomatoes. And I just like to kind of slice them kind of thin so that when I'm biting into them, they don't fall apart as easily. And that's it. Done.
Awesome.
Yeah. Simple, nutritious, and delicious. It's my breakfast right here, actually.
Oh, it's great. I know. I'm like kind of hungry myself. I'm like, my eggs are bacon. That's awesome. Wait, so I'm curious, Sarah, like, how are things going? How does your neighborhood feel right now in the wake of this? Like, you live, in Bushwick, which is rapidly gentrifying, but also is really, a heavily working class and middle class.
Yeah.
Yeah, like largely, like.
I mean, I've, I'll go around Bushwick and Brooklyn, but I've also kind of gone to Manhattan once or twice over the last week. And it's really weird. Like, anyone who's ever been to New York, that it's just crowded all the time. And especially in Manhattan, it just feels like a ghost town. Like, all the doors are closed, all the gates are down. There's no one in the streets, there's no one walking. And I just could have ever imagined that New York, Brooklyn, or Manhattan could ever look like that. Mm. So it feels eerie. It feels like something is really wrong, and so the streets are really quiet right now. It just feels like a ghost town, really. And yeah, and so, I mean, that's pretty much it. I don't step out a lot to know what else it feels like, but when I have stepped out, it does feel like an eerie ghost town because all the businesses are closed and everyone's just staying inside.
Yeah, that's really intense.
Yeah.
Well, maybe to that end, I'd love to transition for you to chat more about the UndocuWorkers Fund. So we're here to cook food and to enjoy each other's company, and we're also here to bring awareness and light to some fundraising efforts that are happening to support those who have been really significantly impacted by this pandemic. And so Sarah has been working with an organization in New York City to provide relief, financial relief and support for undocumented workers in the restaurant industry who are currently out of work in New York. So I'd love for you to talk more about what UndocuWorkers Fund is and how you've seen the impact thus far.
Yeah, thank you so much for giving us a platform to talk about this. So I linked up with RAISE, which stands for Revolutionizing Asian Immigrant Stories on the East Coast. They're a youth-run, youth-led, undocumented Asian organization. I've worked with them in the past, and so the idea for the UndocuWorkers Fund started about 2 weeks ago when I was just in conversation with so many of my restaurant friends who were just so torn and really just sickened by some of the decisions that they had to make, right? And a lot of it was looking like letting go of all of their staff, all the front of house staff, most of their kitchen, one, because they couldn't offer them jobs, and two, so that they could all apply for unemployment benefits. But a common theme kept coming up with my restaurant friends where they felt like that was the best solution for a lot of their staff, but then they were all just so torn about how to support their undocumented staff because they wouldn't be able to apply for any benefits, right? And so that's when I just like linked up with Raise to create this fund, because even in currently with all these conversations around stimulus packages and federal relief programs, you know, what they're working on is a good start, but none of it supports anything for undocumented folks, which we know just are such a huge part of the hospitality industry and the entire supply chain. So yeah, so we just started. It was super grassroots, really rapid response. We started it on through Venmo. We just wanted to make it really easy for people to donate, and we wanted to make it really easy for recipients to receive the relief. We didn't want to create a whole lot of loopholes or bureaucratic steps. And so to date, we raised over like $22,000, and you know we're starting with one-time mini grants of $200 for each person. So we're able to serve over 100 people. And, you know, 20 something K just sounds like a lot, but when it comes down to it, our inbox is just full of people who are requesting support, and it's really not even a drop in the bucket, you know, and it's not like we're able to offer recurring payments or anything. And so it's been, you know, amazing to see the support that has come out of the community, seeing people donate and seeing people, you know, try to come out and rally. But at the end of the day, it's just been really gut wrenching once we're dispersing the funds and we're just seeing like this isn't really even gonna do much, you know, and there's still so many people who haven't been able to receive funds. But it's, for now, it's just, we're just looking at it as how can we provide some immediate relief, you know, like this isn't a long-term solution. What can we do to generate more awareness around the need for supporting our undocumented community of workers? And what can we do to just help each of us get through this day by day while we do look for more long-term sustainable solutions?
Awesome. Thank you, Sarah. So actually, I put the tinyurl.com/UndocuFund link, but I think I just clicked through it and it wasn't going to the right link. So maybe could you hit us with, in the chat, could you send...
do I have to sign into chat?
Maybe. Or you can just message it to me and I'll put it on
I'm signing it. Okay, yeah. I'll send it to you right now.
Dressage and other people who brought that to my attention. I appreciate it. Well, thank you so much for that work and that organizing work. You're right that, you know, it's hard right now. I think that's what's overwhelming, is that there's so much need. And nothing is necessarily sustainable right now. I feel like we're doing a lot of like emergency stopgapping.
Yeah.
What does it look like overall as we transform? And that kind of speaks to a question that we had in from Dan Diggity from San Jose, our dear love. His question was, how do you see both of your industries changing in light of this pandemic, and what kind of trends, models will emerge in the future? That is a very comprehensive inquiry, Dan Diggity. But I'm curious, like, in terms of exactly what you're saying, in terms of like, you know, these aren't really sustainable long-term solutions. I'm curious if anybody has an answer to that question, how the industry is transforming. I know, Shara, earlier you said, you know, it's heavy, but it's hopeful. And the idea that we're all banding together now for survival is of the utmost importance. Can we anticipate any kind of like new models that could emerge from the wake of this?
You know, I think when you see like fine dining restaurants like Canlis go to, you know, a drive-through, like a drive-through burger stand or family meals or whatnot, I don't know like how it's going to look like after all this, but what I do know is that the food industry and its response to what's going on has really been thoughtful about, you know, at the end of the day, everyone's got to eat. Food is nourishment. And so when you take out when you're forced into the, you know, the environment that we're in, food becomes just an essential thing in our lives. And so you kind of get back to the bare bones of like, is the presentation of it all that important right now? Or is it just about it being nutritious and comforting and, you know, reminds you of home, right? And so I think it's a dialogue to still continue having, but I do appreciate, you know, the leadership in our city in terms of, yeah, just, you know, you see that folks are understanding what is essential and what's not essential. And I think as we kind of get back into hopefully restaurants opening again, I think you're going to start to see a little bit more of just like what is essential.
Yeah, that's really cool. I think it's a hard thing too. I don't know if you guys have any insights in that in terms of what Congress just passed and the assistance for small business that it's provided there. I think we all know that we have, you know, small businesses have to fight no matter what to stay alive and to survive in our economy. And now that things are so variable and as expected, you know, federal funding is going to support the big fish or those, you know, the big corporate dollars at the expense of small business. I know there are, and maybe you guys can just talk a little bit more in terms of like what the resources that are available, because I know that you guys have been following it really closely, do you, Anshara?
Yeah, I think the first thing to note for any small business is that you can apply for a loan that a portion of it, if you use within an 8-week period, and there's so many layered things to this, but like, and I'm not a lawyer, but from what I've been hearing and understanding is it's an SBA loan that basically you can apply up to 2.5 times your average monthly payroll. And if you use that money within an 8-week period for payroll, those particular dollars are forgiven. And one of the things that, like we were just talking about in Seattle Restaurants United, is we need, you know, so many folks have been laid off, and 8 weeks is not enough time, right? And so if you have X amount of dollars that you're eligible for, we want to be able to draw that out for a year. So you can be able to use those funds and have those funds be forgiven. We're also talking about how it's a finite amount of dollars and who usually gets access to that. And so for those that are listening, if you know small mom and pop businesses and, you know, English is not their first language, please, please, please reach out and let them know that this is something that they should access, and they should access as soon as possible. There's a SeattleRestaurantsUnited.com, which is going to be and has been a resource for a lot of this information. And I'm sure there's others out there, but it's called the PPP, which is the Paycheck Protection Program. And everyone who owns a business, and it's even open to gig workers, like just get on it and try to get as many folks that you know on it as well, so that they can access the funds. It's a Band-Aid solution. I think it's ripe time right now to just be fucking demanding what we all should be demanding, like not just this, but universal health care. Like this is the time to not just be asking for a little, you know, change here or there, but really for what is basic human rights.
Thank you so much for that incredibly succinct but powerful breakdown. I think first, the takeaway, I love that you said it's so important for us right now to be advocates, to reaching out to folks that we know don't have access to this information, folks that aren't necessarily first language, English as first language speakers, or, you know, small businesses that don't necessarily have the resources and the means to direct them to the payroll protection program. And to have that be a call to action. So no matter where you are, you know, you live in a neighborhood where whether it's like the restaurant down the street that you get takeout at, or, you know, people that you buy, you know, their goods. Sounds like anybody really that does their own commerce is able to take advantage of these resources. And then to your point, Shira, as well, like this is actually an opportunity, as devastating as it is for economies, to think about how can they transform to be more equitable. And, you know, how are we pushing that in the scheme of things? I think it's hard, like, we can't organize the way that we used to. We can't leave our houses if we're being responsible. So what does it look like for us to come together and to demonstrate and to show our power? And I think a lot of that comes from activating our local communities, making sure that we're communicating with them. I think it's easy. I know that I struggle with this. Like, it's really easy for me to just stay at home and never leave. And because I think I let the anxiety just kind of like build around me. So I'm just like, okay, I'm just like in my home, and I'm so grateful that I have a home that I can just stay in. But I think also, you know, it is important to think about how can we safely start organizing within our local communities, and ensure that that this isolation isn't used against us as things are being transformed. So
Yeah.
word. Let's see. We have, all right. Christine Geronimo from Seattle says, Shara put me onto the payroll protection program. So check it out. Payroll protection program, y'all, small businesses. We had a question earlier from David Hahn. What are some things y'all have been doing to keep your spirits and heads up during this difficult time?
You know,
Go ahead.
am I going?
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Sarah.
I'll go. I think what's really been helping me is like staying close to community, you know, like and staying active. And I'm not active in like the workaholic way, or like, you know, work yourself to the bone, but I think just finding ways to take steps forward, you know, of course with the self-care, the rest, all of that, like that's included in this package. But for me, it's just thinking about ways to stay close to the community, thinking about ways to support the community, you know, creating the micro fund, like the UndocuWorkers Fund, trying to galvanize folks around me to create their own micro funds in their own regions and cities, you know, staying engaged with folks around me. Like that's really been helping me, because I just feel like we just need each other so much during this time, you know? We need each other emotionally and mentally, and we need each other to organize, you know, for each other if some folks can't. So in doing stuff like this is really cool, Hollis, you know, so staying close to community, staying engaged with community, continuing to come together and continuing to support each other has really been helping me, you know, feel sane and feel mentally strong, because as I'm finding ways to give and engage, I'm also receiving so much from community. You know, I'm seeing the strength and resilience and the generosity from so many people in our community. And so I think, like, in a very micro sense, just this idea, or a very macro sense, this idea of like creating a healthy ecosystem in our lives, whether it's small with like a microphone or whether it's large, like with lobbying, thinking about how we can create ecosystems for ourselves that involve everyone and include everyone, and that considers the like sustainability and longevity of everyone in our communities, you know? It's just like we're just all connected, you know, like whether it's the supply chain and hospitality, or you know, we're just all connected. And so I'm just feeling like we just need each other so much during these times, and staying connected and thinking of each other about how we can survive, you know, thinking about how we can all survive together has really been helping me move forward.
I love that. I love the idea of like, how are we reimagining our ecosystems? It's so important to stay connected. And I think that's the challenge now, is like, how are we bridging that divide? Thank you. What about over in Seattle?
Where's Gio?
Let's run to the restroom real quick.
What are you doing?
What am I doing? You know, a bunch of stuff that I actually meant to do, but just didn't have the time to with the day-to-day grind of, you know, running the shop, all the admin work, and then working the floor myself, time to time. It was, you know, shit like hanging out with the kids, doing some writing, doing some reading, spring cleaning. I mean, oh, downloaded Animal Crossing on Nintendo Switch the other day.
What is that? I don't.
Oh, you ain't know about?
I haven't been following. I've been seeing it pop up like on social, but I thought that was a meme or something.
Horrible sin.
It's like this game was like almost tailor made for quarantine entertainment. No, but yeah, it's doing all types of stuff. Not any one thing, because I feel like the new normal is new every day. So we're still, you know, like Sarah said, like the grind don't stop. It's just the energy has to be focused somewhere on something that we feel at least
Yes.
looks beyond just this moment. Like, of course, taking into account this very moment that we're in and responding to it, but then also laying the foundation for not just being in a mode where we're just reacting to the new normal, that we're actually laying the foundation for what changes, what a new status quo could be like. I think all of us are feeling that. So yeah, it's just a balance of self-care, looking towards the future, remaining hopeful. But like most of y'all, I'm sure, with the full acknowledgement that I feel paralyzed by my phone these days.
I see you. Word. Thanks for that. I said we have a couple Animal Crossing people in the vid. So,
Hey.
first of all, I wanted to share. I'm finally done with my breakfast.
Yay! Perfect timing, Hollis.
Right. So I just wanted to show you guys if you can see it.
Wow! Oh my god! What?
Whatever you want, and then you just create little wells for the eggs to go in. And then I'm somebody who I kind of like a more poached egg. So you just put the cover on it and you do it low until it looks about your desired level of doneness.
That is beautiful. Great job.
Gorgeous.
Hey, the best poached egg I ever had still was from Hollis's mom on the town all day tour.
That's true. My mom taught me everything I know about poaching. So awesome. So thank you guys so much for your questions. I know we saw Alex.
Hollis, can I add one thing for self-care?
Please, jeez. Go ahead.
Oh, so one thing that I do for self-care every morning is I start my mornings with 15 to 20 minutes of stretching, deep breathing, and meditating. And that's just a routine that I do every morning, which helps me get really grounded. And it actually helps me really connect to my breath, because over the last few weeks, I have just found myself just sitting at my desk and I feel like short breath, like short, what's the word? I feel short of breath. Like I'm not even running, I'm not even walking, but all of a sudden, like my chest feels tight, and it's like, and I have to stop and be like, oh, breathe, you know? And yeah, it's just a lot of processing all the time. So doing the stretching and the deep breathing has really been helpful every morning.
That's awesome. Great.
Hollis, can I add to just something really brief that helps remind me that everything, I don't know, just this saying of small is enough. I heard Cotton Candy say there was like a Zoom anti-Asian racism town hall yesterday on Facebook. I don't know if you guys saw that, but called in and she said that. And I think in this time, like, people feel a little lost and want to do something. And when you're stuck at home, you know, you feel like maybe you want to do more, but you can't. And I do think this idea of small is enough, like little things add up, and that's okay. and those that have the means to do the lobbying or the other things, like that's important and it's great. But like whatever you're doing, whether it's for yourself, for your family, for your kids, for your community, for your next door neighbor, like that's enough. And to not like have this mental weight on ourselves, like that we should always be doing more. Like as a mom, I feel like I constantly feel that. And shout out to all like the working moms that are trying to homeschool their kids and also work at the same time. It's fucking hard. And just, yeah, I think just reminding myself too that like my first job is to be a mom for myself. And so just to not forget those that are like literally right in front of you in the midst of all this is really important.
That was so amazing. Thank you so much for saying that. Small is enough is such a fantastic mantra. And I think it's also like something just figuring out what's achievable. I think, again, like I have a tendency to just kind of go in and not really feel like I'm doing much of anything at all. And whether that's like, you know, every day I'm going to commit to 20 minutes of stretching, or every week I'm going to make sure I'm reaching out or having a conversation with somebody in the neighborhood, you know, like checking in. I'm really inspired now because of what you were saying about the payroll protection program, just the idea of just going to my corner stores that I've been going to get like baking soda or a bottle of wine, just striking up a conversation instead, not just like, I hope that you guys are doing okay, and like checking in on a human level, but also just making sure that people know that they have options and just starting meaningful conversations with folks that we can interact with in person. So thank you for that. Awesome. So we're at 11:53. We're gonna wrap up soon. Do you guys have any last thoughts? Just check the links to support UndocuWorkers Fund. Hopefully we'll get the get the right link up. And support Hood Famous Bakeshop and their employees and their venture by donating to the Hood Famous Fund. And also we have up there the Chinatown and International District in Seattle, a relief fund as well, so that you can give to the neighborhood. A lot of businesses in the ID have been suffering tremendously and have been for over a month because Seattle was such an epicenter on the beginning of things, and Seattle's white liberal-cism was definitely showing out. So it's a neighborhood that's been impacted off top. So
Can I ask Sarah a question?
Yeah.
Real quick. So our cafe manager, Anton, just texted and he wants to know, I want to know too, what do you think the impact on the coffee supply chain is going to be, and the effects that it has in the reduction in coffee sales? Like how is that impacting, and how is it going to impact like farmers and importers?
Yeah. That's such a good question. And yeah, I've been checking in with my producing partner in Vietnam since, you know, the coronavirus started spreading in the news like in January, February. And, you know, as of this, and I can't speak to the whole scale of things, but definitely within my relationship in this moment, like things within the supply chain are still operating like business as usual because it's considered essential. You know, I think anything within the food supply chain is considered essential. But yeah, I think in terms of the whole global community, it's really scary. I roast in a shared facility, and one of the companies that roasts there, I won't say their name, but they've been around for over 10 years, and they're primarily a B2B business. And I heard that they've just shrunk their entire operation by 85%. You know, that's a lot of jobs across the country, a lot of accounts, whether it's office coffee or cafe restaurant partners that are now no longer operating. Yeah, and then it's also all the producers. So, I mean, off the top, I feel like it's going to be a crippling impact for everyone. And you brought it up earlier in terms of like the supply chain with a restaurant experience. It's the distributors, it's the grocer, it's the producers, the farmers. It just goes back to this idea of like we are all connected, you know, like anyone suffering, like I don't know if like corporations think like, well, we're okay, but like no, because it's just going to create this horrible, crippling like ripple effect where everyone's gonna hurt and everything's gonna go down, and then there's gonna be no stimulation, you know, like for the companies that care about money, like there's gonna be no one to stimulate the economy, you know. So yeah, I would imagine that if there's no coffee being pushed out right now from the roaster to the retail space, then there's going to be less coffee being imported from the producer to the roaster. So I guess we'll see. There's a possibility that some of these companies may shift more to like e-commerce and D2C, and I've been seeing a lot of my friends who have cafes all like rapidly try to sell coffee beans online, right? Which is a great like pivot. So that's a possibility. But it would probably take a little while for, if theoretically, if everyone were to shift to like e-commerce, it would take a while for that volume that was being met in the cafe retail space to like be translated directly to e-commerce. Yeah, I don't know.
Awesome.
You want to say hi?
What's up? Oh, we got a guest. Guest. All right, so we're coming up on an hour. I just want to say thank you guys so much. First, Gio, Shira, Sarah, for being here from Seattle, from Brooklyn. Oh, hey, we got a young Amato in the building. Hi, Amato.
Hi, Amato.
Say hi.
Amato, what's been your favorite thing to do now that you're staying at home?
Play Animal Crossing?
Yeah, play Animal Crossing.
Playing Animal Crossing?
I got Animal Crossing like yesterday.
Sweet.
That's exciting.
I know you're hungry. We got food for you.
Yeah, we're all gonna eat soon. But before we go, thank you guys so much for watching. And don't leave yet, because we are going to be treated to a special, very rare acapella performance.
Woo!
Very own Gio, aka Prometheus Brown.
Cool.
Take a stage.
Wait, so how's this working? Am I just gonna, I'm a rap and then it's a rap? Okay. Well, let me actually, I've been getting like, hey, all the homies stop texting me, man. It's like 2 minutes. All right. Yeah. Where do I begin? Let me make sure this guy gets his food first. But shout out to everybody who logged in. You know, silver lining is maybe I'll finally release some stuff I've been sitting on for a while. And here's a little bit of something I wrote partially over the past week. Thank you, Hollis. Thank you, Sarah. Y'all two of my favorites. Real ones know they got the coffee in the playlist. I know it's been a minute you've been waiting. Maybe you forgot. Let me take this opportunity to say this. Everything you think you know about me is outdated, unless we had a recent conversation. Still up in the kitchen, cooking, writing, whether with a pen or a knife in my hand, make a lethal combination. Used to run bars over beats on occasion. Then I ran a bar, was a decent occupation. Had to shut down the bar, fucked up situation. No intoxication, just keen observations like, so far 2020 acting hella weird. Mad cause our vision isn't matching with the year. Global pandemic got the people running scared, and I don't want to panic, but I understand the fear. Big city, already white and getting whiter. Like writing on a page while the paper getting brighter. Blinded by the light, another running through the night. That's a metaphor for y'all, but for me, that's my life in the shadow of a $242 million jail for the youth. Could have used all that money for some food. Maybe studios and soundproof panels for the booths, maybe books for the schools, maybe trauma-focused specialists, grants for small POC and women-owned businesses, jobs for veterans and recently released prisoners. I could keep listing them, but would you keep? All right, my position as a strong, brown, long hair, funny kind of uncle, half Troy Polamalu, half Hari Kondabolu. Can't lie, most of this rap shit bore me like a tunnel. Still high, not much, just enough to stay humble. Shout out to all y'all who reached out when I was going through it. Ask how I'm doing instead of when you dropping new shit. People have my back, then they put the knife through it and flip my old bar about. Judas in the movement, but I'm still here. Real shit. Better get acquainted. Drinking cheap beer named after active volcanoes, named after overweight colonizer a-holes. Hey, y'all, you know how the saying goes. That's it for now. Hollis does brunch every Sunday, right? So now I get to tune in and yay.
Yes, yeah.
Thank y'all.
That was dope.
Yeah,
Gio.
thank you for all the flame emojis.
I haven't even heard that shit. It's so
Oh, world premiere right here.
That was flames. Yeah. Well, Gio, I hope that in our recent shelter in place, although I know it's so effed up that, you know, Hood Famous is shut down momentarily. And obviously your well-being takes precedence over dropping new shit. But we're thankful to have a sneak peek now. And really,
Yes, indeed. And yeah, shout out to Team Hood Famous. Hopefully we'll all get through it and we'll pick up where we left off in the new status quo. Stay healthy, stay hopeful.
amazing. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Gio and Shara. Thank you all so
everyone.
much for tuning in. We really, really appreciate it. This was an amazing first experience. I'm so thankful for the community that I have for y'all. No matter where we are, we stay connected. I'm so thankful for all of you guys that tuned in, kept the chat active. I have to give a shout out to my boo, Jeff, for supporting me here.
Good job.
Yeah, 100 proof.
Shout out to Keith Harrington in Queen Anne.
What up, Keith?
Yeah, Keith.
Engineer and tech savant. So thank you guys so much. We hope to be doing these in the future. Hey, Amato. And we ultimately just hope that you're staying safe, staying fed, and staying connected. So thank you so, so much for being part of this.
Yes. Thank you, Hollis.
Thank you, Hollis. Amazing. Thanks for bringing us together.
Bye, fam.